Welcome to podcast 43. Yes, 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 maybe, but yes.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to podcast 43. I'm joined here again with my host, Fulton Collins, and we're going to talk about Michael Bay's The Island this week.
I'm interested to know how this one's going to perform.
I don't know. It's a very forgotten Bay film, too.
Mm-hmm. It is kind of sandwiched in between his two hits of his.
Bad Boys 2 and Transformers, yeah.
Mm-hmm. I mean, in terms of Transformers, I mean it isn't a box office hit. I'm sure Bad Boys 2 did great at the box office, but that movie is a fantastic film. If you have not seen that, pause this, go watch it, and then come back to
and then
then listen to it. A retrospective on it.
You can learn all about The Island, but after you've done your Bad Boys 2 homework.
Exactly. Listen to us read off IMDb trivia, and have a good time at that. But I guess to get back on more solid ground. Chris, why did you pick The Island this week?
Because I didn't know anything about it other than that Michael Bay directed it, and it was a blockbuster film from 2005, and I was just curious if it was worth checking out. If like I needed to spread the word about The Island and how it's a hidden gem in the oeuvre of Bay's filmography.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not, but that's all right. Mm-hmm. We all take our L's as creators, and I think that this is one for Bay. I'd still take it over probably any of the Transformers movies, but
I think I could agree. Although we weren't able to finish Transformers 1 like we had hoped, but that's fine. Y'all will be able to hear about that at some point in the future when me and Chris finish it. We find another spare 40 minutes. But you were gonna say something. Sorry.
Oh no, that was all. I mean, there's still a few Bay blind spots, but I think that the blind spots that do exist are pretty well, other than 6 Underground. I don't know what to expect with 6 Underground.
I think 6 Underground would be, from the opening of it that I've seen, I think it would be more entertaining than probably this one. If you're just gonna put on a Bay movie, I think, if you're a completionist, I feel like you've probably already seen 6 Underground, so you might want to hit this one. But because that movie has Ryan Reynolds, and of course, he's got his sarcastic bit going on. So there's a lot more to, maybe to chew on with that one. But in talking about this one, I feel very mixed because I don't fully dislike it, but I don't also fully love it. And I don't know if I could easily say oh man, you got to watch, you got to go watch The Island. And to me, and I would have to rewatch it because it's been probably about a year or a year and a half since I've seen it. But the opening 30-40 minutes, we talked about this a little bit before we started recording, but it does remind me of THX 1138, just in terms of its aesthetic that it's trying to achieve. And then, spoiler alert, after you kind of get out of the dystopian kind of future that is being presented to the lead characters, it turns into a full action movie.
Yes.
But then it kind of slows down a little bit, and then it has another big opening. But not to jump too far ahead of myself, and we'll get there, but the ending I felt to be very odd in terms of how it was crafted. But I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. But I guess should we kind of speak on plot?
Yeah. Let's
Mhm.
speak on plot. So the plot of the movie is that we follow Ewan McGregor's character who lives in this like kind of pod. It's kind of like that Black Mirror episode, 15 Million Merits, the second Black Mirror episode, where it's people that live in a pod,
Mhm.
and it's like this very technologically advanced society, and he has this kind of, I guess, like childish way about himself mentally. Like he looks like Ewan McGregor, like normal Ewan McGregor, but like mentally he acts like a child. And then he's also friends with Scarlett Johansson's character, who
Mhm.
also lives in this pod facility. And then it turns out that and everybody wants to go to this place called the Island, which is
Mhm.
like, it's like there's like a lottery system, and they do drawings for people in this pod facility to be able to go to this island. And
Because like the outside world is contaminated, but this island is the only thing that has not, or has like a ozone that's breathable or something like that
yes,
or something. Yeah.
and so then you get a lot of that kind of teasing this utopian, or not utopian, but this like perfect atmosphere of the island, but it
Mhm.
ends up being a facade and not real, and it's actually just a way to keep all these subjects like sane. Well,
Mhm.
they're actually their use is actually to be harvested by this, like, I don't know.
This like, I think it's a medical company.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
like basically like what the medical company will do is if you go to them, they'll scan your body and make a clone of you. So if in the event that you'll need like a new liver or a new heart, or like I don't know if they
Any
touch
type,
on it,
any
but like
organ, yeah.
anything, yeah. um if they do that, and if the client needs that new organ, what they'll do is they'll say that the clone wins the lottery. And so then the clone will be taken, and then they'll do surgery on the clone and kill the clone and use and get what they need from it and give it to the client. And so basically, Ewan McGregor and Scarlett Johansson end up escaping the facility and learning about the facility. And essentially their goal is to find their, I guess, real world counterparts, and they want to save everybody in the facility. And where my issue with that kind of comes is that I know that since these people were born and raised to like think a certain way, I know. Well, so like my main issue is like I just don't think that the reason why they want to go back and save everyone is very like, I don't think like it's explored very well in the film. Because to me, if you want to do that and if you kind of want to make it more believable, I think there has to be like some type of like the first 30 or minutes should have been spent on kind of like making the compound feel more like a community, like something is really at stake if they don't go back and they don't save those people. I never really felt that like sense of urgency, but I also know
No,
this, it's supposed to be like the I don't know, because I like, I see the potential there for this film. I kind of just wanted it to push itself a little bit further, and I never think like it really kind of hits that kind of crescendo that I was hoping it would.
it does not. I
Mhm.
it's it's kind of like they break out, and then they kind of piece together their life, and like what's real and what's fake, and kind of
Mhm.
there's a few bits, gags where they don't
Fish out of
understand.
water.
Yeah, fish out of water type stuff
Mm-hmm.
where it's like, yeah, he's taking a dump on the can and he's like,
I gotta go talk to him.
just stuff like that, or like when the bartender's like, Scarlett Johansson, do you want a shot straight up?
Mhm.
And then she looks up at the ceiling because that's so funny, she took it literally. Then there's some chase stuff, but like it's just very underwhelming how Bay utilizes action in this as
Mhm.
the sense of urgency and the hot pursuit of these two escaped you know lab subjects that Ewan McGregor and Scarlett Johansson are, as they're being like pursued by the pharmaceutical company, and like this like SWAT team force that's like trying to contain them. Like you'd think that would, I don't know, at least give way to some cool action, but there's a lot of like really outdated CGI that's used in the
Mhm.
chase sequences, and it really dates the film in a bad way, because I think that this film also has some type of like charm to some like dated charm to it as well,
Mhm.
wouldn't you say? Where
No, yeah. No, I
like
agree. Yeah.
like the whole technology, like that's the technological aspect of the film, or like the computers that they use. It's like
Mhm.
only the only thing that I could describe it as is like Windows XP core,
Yeah.
where it's
There's also like the old Xbox logo.
oh
There's a lot of
yeah,
weird advertising or, ad
Mick
placements.
Ultra, that
Yeah, that one's good. I like that one. And I'm not knocking the film for having product placement. I don't care. I mean, movies have to be made somehow. But I like that Bay owns it. It's very in your face. I find that to be pretty funny.
so yeah, there's like it's like kind of a two-edged sword with how it's
Mhm.
dated, because the special effects haven't held up, and it's also disappointing to go from Bad Boys 2 a year earlier, where
Mhm.
Bay made sure to like use pretty much no CG for the action scenes, and
Mhm.
the chase scenes are so good in that. And it's like, then you have this, which is, I know it's like a sci-fi movie, but the
Mhm.
chase scenes in the
The like highway or bridge
highway,
or
it's like, because there's a highway chase scene in Bad Boys 2 that's done like
yeah.
much better, and they're also grounded in like this type of more of a like real world type
Mhm.
our reality type
With
deal. So
with the bridge scene or highway scene, I will give it to his credit that I think they filmed most of the cars. Now, some of them were very noticeably CGI, but I thought some of them did look really real. But I was also gonna say, until the kind of action set pieces that happen once they get to LA, like to me, and what I was surprised by was that I really felt like before the LA scenes, it really feels like anybody could have directed it. Like I didn't feel like his style was super prevalent until
prevalent.
probably yeah,
Yeah.
sorry. Until like until we got to LA. I felt that kind of feeling that I get from Bay films in that scene. And I really felt like anyone could have directed the first like half of it to me, but
Yeah, no,
I
I
didn't know if you
agree.
felt the same way.
Because you don't have like the like weird characters that only exist in Michael Bay movies in the
Hmm.
like pod facility place,
Hmm.
but then you do like in the contemporary society of LA, where there's like Steve Buscemi especially just being like, never give a woman a credit card.
That's rule number one.
That's rule number one in the world, is that you should never give a woman a credit card. Or just
I
the
wonder
whole,
if he added that line in. Bay specifically wrote
oh no, it's
into
totally a Michael Bay line. Like there's no way that
Bayism.
it's a Bayism. And then there's also the part where like he's trying to give Scarlett Johansson something to wear from his like wife's closet or his girlfriend's
Oh,
closet. And like there's just like you know, sexy nurse outfit,
Sexy
French
maid
maid
outfit.
And he's like, you don't wear, and then she's like taking them off the coat rack, and he's like, no, you don't wear these in public. These are like, it
These
was
are
just
mail order.
very much Michael Bay core, but that's kind of I like that part, you know, that's it's just so dumb, like. But Steve Buscemi is like the best character, and he doesn't get nearly enough screen time, unfortunately, because he definitely has the most personality to him.
Yeah. I did like Ewan McGregor's real life counterpart. I thought he was pretty fun to watch them kind of do their, I guess, watch him do his thing in two separate versions of it.
Yeah, because for Ewan McGregor to go face to face with the person that he's a clone of, that's like this wealthy boat designer, and
he's got some great lines too. There's one line where he's talking to the clone Ewan McGregor, and he's like, wow, you're not like tapping that and talking about Scarlett Johansson. He's like, dude, wait till you have sex. Like, wait, I'm not gonna spoil it for you. So that, and I love the reason that he bought a clone was because he got hepatitis. Yeah, he got like a chronic form of hepatitis.
Had a little too fun, as he said. Yeah, so that was pretty fun. Unfortunately, you don't get to meet Scarlett Johansson's clone because she's like on her deathbed. But I also think that that's funny that they don't really answer that question at the end of the movie. They're just like, yeah, fuck her. Yeah, fuck her.
Well, like, to briefly, I guess, talk about the ending, they really pulled out like every single like fucking trope like imaginable to like finish the ending. Like, there's literally like this one, like, it just got predictable, but it was funny in that manner. But I was just surprised with how, like, because I feel like even when this film was made, these were tropes. And I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but there was the whole, when Ewan was fighting the doctor's like, I brought you into this world, and then he didn't finish it. I was like, oh wow, he's not gonna finish it. And then he's like, but I'll take you out of it too. And I was like, God damn it. Sean Bean, come on. But I don't know. Yeah. But I was also gonna say with the ending, I thought it was really bizarre because they play like this almost, the ending, the whole facility comes down, and then all these clones leave the facility and are kind of walking about. And the way it's like shot and the way it's crafted is so odd to me, because I'm like, these people are going to have such terrible lives because they're not going to be accept like, but the way like the score swells up, it's like this big momentous, like, it's like this victory for them to me. And I don't, the idea is not really carried over to me, because there's no way they're going to have, I mean, look what happened to Ewan and Scarlett, you know. They ended up being fine, but when they were out in the real world, they weren't treated as normal people. They won't be treated as normal people. And they'll have to face the reality that they are clones made for money. They were made to die, which I just like, it's such a depressing ending when you really think about it, to me. But
no, it's not. It's not triumph. It's almost triumphant in the same way that Black Mirror episode that I was talking about is triumphant 15 million merits, where it's like, wow, this guy, he's able to be free from his like pod life, but now he just kind of can rant to a bunch of people and get paid for it, because it kind of keeps people in check almost, because it's like, I don't know, like, serves the same purpose as like punditry, where it's like this person will rant to you about all these problems while he gets like paid millions of dollars, and like actually these aren't any of his problems, like, you know, a Tucker Carlson type. or something.
Mhm.
Or this, it's like, wow, this is a triumphant ending. People are all leaving out of this like, horrible, out of these horrible conditions that they were subjected to by this medical company, but now they're stuck in the desert too.
Yeah. In the middle of, I mean, I guess they would lead the way. Scarlet and Ewan.
They become like, I don't know, Messiah like figures.
Well, I was just thinking, I was like, they can take them all to that bar. The
Yeah.
bar, they'll make it worth it for their shenanigans at the bar by bringing all these people to, come to it. But yeah, I don't know. It just, I yeah, it has potential, but I don't think it tends to take the weirder route with a lot of things.
Yeah, so it's just one of those movies that make you like, I don't know, it makes me want to watch an art film. You know?
It made me want to watch Elysium because I was like, this is definitely because like when I see a sci-fi film, if it doesn't scratch the sci-fi itch, I'm like, damn, now I want to watch like a good sci-fi film.
Yeah, because I mean, good sci-fi should pose some type of societal question
Mhm.
that, or question that you can kind of address in contemporary society as applied to like some, futuristic society or some alternate universe.
Mhm.
And this poses a question. I guess there is that like, what I told you before we started recording about the people, like, I guess like there's in some like Christian circles, people really like this because it's air quote pro-life.
Yeah, but I think that's more of like a biased and like I don't
No, I don't agree with the
yeah.
sentiment, but I'm just saying like,
But I see where I see where you're coming from
where it's
though.
like, oh, look, these, but like, I guess I guess there are plenty of anti-abortion Christians that are like against
Why
the
would you want to
notion
put this
against the
on?
notion of against the notion of like um what, like stem cell research and stuff.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's not like people are like, oh yeah, I'm gonna have a baby and then abort it so I can
Use its
have
liver.
use the stem cells.
What I like, if it is popular, do they just edit out the fact that I mean, like, what do they do with all like the talk of sex?
Well, I don't
Because there's
know.
like
I think you
I'm just
gotta,
curious. I know you might not. I'm sorry.
I have no idea, Fulton. I'm not speaking on behalf of the people that
Christian
the Christians that really like the island.
Mhm.
Large subset of people.
I'd be interested to look into that. It's like,
But
yeah.
that's like the only thing that I can think of though, because I think that like it's kind of surface level when you think of it. It's like, it doesn't make a whole lot of, you feel like it doesn't make a whole lot of sense, like why they'd be doing this, like why they'd just be like, yeah, we're just gonna, like the excuse that they give is like, we thought that we could just make organs, but they needed to feel emotions. Like
That's what I don't understand
like
why that is important.
Sean Bean, who's like the villain in this and dies at the end, of course.
What?
He's talking about why they couldn't just like clone like organs without having to create a whole other person, and they just are like, yeah, we found out that like it doesn't work that way. We need like a whole other person because they need to feel emotions and experience through the organs. And I was like,
I really see if it was like a brain, maybe I could like,
but it's like a liver.
but yeah, like that's what I don't get is like they never really like set up the limitations of like what the clients are necessary. I mean, I don't know. It's just like, I also don't like, it's so odd how like because Sean Bean has to report to like um the CEOs, like the heads of the companies and stuff like that, the boardroom.
Yeah.
And there's this really like funny sequence where Sean Bean's talking to like the boardroom and they're all on like this one big like Zoom call. But for some reason, like he has like a million like TV screens in his office, but they're all at varying different like distances away from where he's sitting. And then he's like, so are we good to ditch $200 million worth of product? And everyone's like, aye. And then Sean Bean has like a little smirk on his face. And I'm surprised that they didn't, I don't know. I just thought somebody would have been like, hey man, what the fuck? That's $200 million worth of product. But maybe I'm looking a little too, into it.
This is the most attention that somebody has given the island in
This is true.
probably a decade.
How did it, do you know how it performed at the box office?
I don't think it did well.
Because I don't think it did well critically.
No, it didn't.
Yeah.
But the critics are never favorable to Mr. Bay.
I mean, you're not wrong. That's awesome. When I typed in the island, the first question that Google asks is the island worth watching?
I don't know. No, it isn't. It's a pastiche of better sci-fi movies. So.
Yeah, no, I agree. It feels like it's borrowing a lot, but doesn't throw too much onto it as well.
But yeah.
Ooh. The budget was 126 million. That's the estimated budget. Worldwide, it made 35.8 million back. So it did not do very well. But moving on, I guess we can take our ad break real quick, and then we'll be back with new releases as well. Okay. So me and Chris did actually get to see a new movie this weekend. And we saw it together like one does with a certain type of film. We got to see Jackass Forever.
Yeah, we did indeed.
Yeah. What was your impression of Jackass Forever?
Well, I loved it. I really did. I thought it was a lot of fun to watch in the cinema. This was my first Jackass theater experience, and I saw it with Fulton and with some of our other friends, and one of our friends actually didn't know anything about Jack. and she was she thought they were narrative films and had not seen any other Jackass content, so for that I felt bad. But she enjoyed it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty much in the same boat. I honestly was kind of expecting to not like it, only because I just think that the movie had a lot going against it with the unfortunate passing of Ryan Dunn a good few years ago, and then also the controversy with Bam Margera. I really didn't know what to expect, and also they were bringing in new cast members, which can always, it can easily go bad. I feel like with a lot of kind of franchises that bring in new people, and especially one like this that is so built on kind of the sense of like, I'm gonna say it, but the sense of family and community that the films have, like it. And I remember when I watched Jackass 1 with Chris, I think over the summer, I said something along the lines of like, there is like such a surprising amount of heart in the first one, because it legitimately does feel like they were just going around America and like recording them hanging out with each other,
and
and
being
doing really dumb
doofuses.
stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm happy to say that like sense of heart is like still so prevalent. Did I say it right that time?
Prevalent. No, you said
Prevalent.
prevalent. That's
Prevalent.
prevalent. Prevalent.
Prevalent. Damn it. Anyways, it's still there, which is very, very nice. And it's still just as funny. Probably the most penises I've ever seen,
In a movie,
especially in
yeah.
a theater. More penis than I remember there being in the other Jackasses, but I'd have to rewatch to
I'd have
really
to
put that to test.
Get your notepad and tally mark. Yeah. So going off of that, the whole new cast member, and then also making a new Jackass film that was like what 12 years.
10
Well, 12. Well,
Oh,
I guess
yeah,
they
yeah.
filmed this. They filmed this like a little back, a little longer because they delayed it. It was supposed to come out last year as
Mhm.
well, but anyways, it's been a long time between Jackass 3 and this new one, Jackass Forever. And also I was kind of worried that it was going to go too much into like the nostalgia of like, hey, remember this, remember that. And they
Mhm.
do it a little bit, but I don't think it's like a detriment to the film.
Mm-mm.
It's not like, you know, Star Wars The Force Awakens, but for guys who really like getting hit in the nuts, you know.
Yeah, especially in the nuts with this one.
Yeah. But the new cast members too, I think are really great, especially
Mhm.
Poopies. I was a big fan of Poopies. Um, just so much himbo energy coming from him,
Mhm.
and like it's also good because you're able to kind of see the Johnny Knoxville, Steve-O, Chris Pontius, Dave England, Wee Man, Aaron,
Mhm.
Preston Lee, like all these guys from the classic Jackass cohort. They're able to coach the new generation through
Mhm.
in doing stupid things, and then because they're also older, so you mean they can't be doing like
The
the
same
crazy, yeah, the
stuff.
same stuff, but they still do some, like especially Steve-O does some
Mhm.
pretty insane stuff, and Aaron, like
Aaron is truly I still stand by him being the MVP of the movie. Honestly, I think he goes above and beyond in this movie, which I didn't really expect from him. I think the one dude I thought was gonna do more was Chris Pontius.
yeah, I was surprised that Chris
Yeah,
Pontius didn't do as much.
I can't
Also,
blame him.
yeah, no, I
But
mean, I'm
you know,
not.
mhm.
Also, Johnny Knoxville, just what a what a
What a
champ.
trooper.
getting that bull.
Hmm. I guess we could mention that there is, you can see Bam Margera in one there in the marching band scene. He does show up once, but he is kind of edited around to where you don't
Yeah,
really catch him too much.
yeah, it is unfortunate. Also, the absence of his parents is also quite sad. Bam's parents were
Yeah.
always some of my favorite parts of
Hmm.
the older Jackass stuff.
Yeah.
But other than that, the I think this is probably the grossest Jackass that I've seen. Maybe one of the grossest movies that I've ever seen. But like that's all part of the Jackass brand, baby. Not
That
an
is
insult.
true. Yeah. Um, I guess my only other thing is the last kind of um maybe we're a little spoiled by Jackass 3 because that really did have a great ending kind of sequence. So I was
Yeah.
wondering if they're going to top that. And they still do have a pretty bombastic kind of final moment to the movie, but I didn't think it quite reached the level of like the previous Jackass films. Um, but it still has a great opening though. I thought the opening was definitely unexpected. And I think it perfectly sets the tone for the next hour and a half that you're about to watch. So
Yeah, I would agree. Well, so yeah, I think both me and you can safely say we're recommending Jackass Forever. If you
yes,
have, you know,
if you're into it,
if you're into it, because it's definitely not for everyone, and I could easily see somebody getting very
hating
mad
it.
at me in Fulton for saying, "Oh, go out and see Jackass Forever," because
Yeah.
I've heard quite a few stories from people of how like just older, especially like older people. Like I can't imagine being like the 65 plus crowd and being like, yeah, let's go see Jackass Forever. But it's happened from what I've heard from
I,
anecdotes.
I think you just have to kind of be a pre-existing kind of fan of it, really. Like, because I can't imagine just going into a Jackass movie like first watch. You know what I mean? Like not having or like going to see it in the theater and not knowing anything about it.
Oh, and what kind and like I just also want to know like what was the last straw for these senior couples? Was it the pogo sticking?
Oh,
Was it the pogo stick
probably the
fire?
opening. The opening throws a lot at you.
Yeah.
Like as a viewer, it in terms of cameo and crassness, it's all there. But I guess did you have any other final thoughts that you wanted to put on forever?
No, just Jackass Forever. That's my final thought.
I'm interested to know if they're going to continue. I would have to imagine that they're probably going to do something with the new crew.
Yeah.
But time will tell.
Yeah, time will
Uh,
tell.
yeah, but Chris, what are your top 3 recent watches?
All right. So it has been a pretty slimmed down week, honestly. I haven't really watched a whole lot, but my top 3 is going to be number 3, Admiral, which is a Russian
Wow,
film from 2008.
surprise. Well, I guess 3 is in terms of the lowest, right?
Well, these are like literally the only 3
The
things
3.
that I watched.
Gotcha.
so
Heard.
so I'm just, I mean, it's more like what's something that think is notable to talk about, and kind
Mhm.
of I'll get on my soapbox and briefly talk about how this movie will remind you how bad biopics can be. um it's an immensely ugly film.
Mhm.
The it's a biopic about the real life ship
Kolchak.
captain, Admiral Kolchak, who was a white Russian, um, and also had like this affair with this woman, Anna, and they exchange letters and they have a relationship throughout the movie. He's also fighting against the Bolsheviks, and it's like, I don't know. It was made in 2008. Um, kind of, it was he was considered a bad word in Soviet Russia. Like you couldn't mention him because he
Like
was,
Voldemort.
yeah, he was like Voldemort.
Yeah.
He was like enemy number one, or no, one of the enemies of the
State.
communists. And so I guess the Russian Federation commissioned this film about him to like, I guess, teach you about his life, despite the fact that a lot of it is obscured truth and all that. But I can excuse that. I mean, a lot of great biopics do that, but a lot of really bad biopics do that too. So um just drivel. It's just so uninteresting. So don't seek out Admiral. The only time that you should be seeking out Admiral is if you're taking a class on Russian cinema and you have to
Which we
watch it.
are.
Yeah.
um
And so number
uh,
2 is going to be another film for Russian cinema that I watched called Chess Fever from 1929. It's a short film by Vsevolod Padovkin. So one of the most well-known Soviet film theorists, made this cute little short film about this guy that's obsessed with chess, and his fiance is very mad with him about his obsession with chess and how it always gets in the way of their time together. And it's just really funny, because like there'll be like there's like one scene where like a handkerchief falls on the ground and he realizes that it's checkerboard pattern. And he's like, this looks like a chessboard. And then he gets his pieces. Or like he'll just walk
These
by
tiny
like,
chess pieces.
and so yeah, it's a real sweet one. It's like kind of it's just very funny still in 2022 in current year. And that's really all I can say on it. Is it's it's on YouTube. My number one is, and this was like my number one the week that I watched it for the first time too, but it's my rewatch of All That Jazz, the Bob Fosse movie. I just love it so much. It was a 4.5 when the first time that I watched it, and on rewatch it's 5-star film. But I just was like thinking about the finale, and so I just had to rewatch it and show it to my girlfriend. She'd never seen it before. And yeah, it was a great time. The best use of There's No Business Like Show Business by Ethel Merman for the credits. And then also just like Roy Scheider just giving his all, just being like a smug deadbeat husband and father. So yeah, killer movie.
Ooh, what do I talk about? It's also kind of a slim week for me. I'll talk about Ben Sofa, which is another Russian movie that we have to watch for our Russian cinema class. And I don't think I'm crazy about this. I don't think I'm like super in love with the film. It could grow on me in time, but I do think it is probably my favorite out of the feature length films that we've had to watch, because this film came out in 1927, and I feel like the editing and a lot of the on location shots in Moscow are just really, really super well composed. Like, it's insane. There's also like this one shot that I want to note, that there's two male leads and one is named, just want to make sure that I don't mess this up. Oh, that doesn't help me. What is, oh, sorry. Cool. Oh yeah, Colia. Sorry, that wasn't saying that doesn't help me to you. I was looking at Letterbox and it presented it a weird way. I'm sorry about that.
No, that's right, yeah.
There's Vlodo.
It's Volodia.
There's Volody. Oh, God damn it. Anyway, there's Colia, which is the husband, and then the friend. And so essentially, there's the scene where it's cutting in between the friend traveling and Colia at home. And what I love about the scene is when it cuts to Colia at home, there's the scene of him working out, but there's no establishing shot set up before we actually see him working out. So it's literally just shots of kind of the weight coming up and down, and then it's cutting between all these different movements of him working out. And I just found it to be super, for some reason I really caught on to that. I thought that was really, really interesting, because I have like that in silent era, like, or not silent era, in silent movies before, for them just to kind of cut to the action without first establishing it. Because I think like with a lot of silent films, especially like early on in cinema, there was this um not with every film, but there's normally you have to see the action completely take place. And I think it can kind of bog down some silent films, and some silent films kind of move past that the need to show everything. But I thought it was really interesting that it just cut to the action itself and didn't establish it. Um, so that's one. Um, I also watched Chess Fever. I did like that one. I don't think I have too much to add on to it besides what you added. I guess I'll talk about this documentary about the making of Star Wars Episode One: The Phantom Menace, called The Beginning, because I was pretty interested. I think the background, kind of, the background of the prequels is interesting, because they were kind of like independently, financed, and
Is
it's
this
really.
is this the documentary that where George Lucas says it's like poetry, it rhymes?
Yes, yeah,
Okay,
he
yeah,
does.
okay.
Because he's saying that in that scene, he's talking about how there are echoes of Luke's journey to becoming the Jedi that he would become, and he's like, so there's echoes of that, and it's really quite beautiful. And then you see him after the cut, watching the preview cut, and he's like, oh, I may have gone a little overboard some places. And but it's really, like, I don't think the documentary is really going to tell you anything that you didn't already know, but it's just kind of interesting to see it as kind of a product of its point in time. And so it's also interesting to hear, since it was an independently financed thing, him talk about how he's going to manage like 150, or not 100, I think it was like $50 million is the budget for it. And it was just, I don't know, it's wild. And it's also very interesting to see like a young Ewan McGregor being super excited to just be in Star Wars, and kind of Liam Neeson just like chilling out on set, doing whatever he like pleased and wanted to do.
Wait. Are you sure that it was Ewan McGregor? Are you sure was it his clone?
I guess we won't know for sure because this was before the island, so we weren't able to clear it up.
And the
Um,
sequel is Attack of the the sequel, the Phantom Menace, is Attack of the Clones. Don't forget.
Well, the interesting thing is that there's a documentary for episode 2. There's a documentary for episode 3. There's a doc for the the Last Jedi, and also Rise of Skywalker. But
You're gonna watch them all?
I think over time I probably will, but I'm not gonna, like, it's not like something where I'm like, I've got to get through them.
I could see this one being really a lot more interesting than the other ones, just because of how big of a deal the Phantom Menace was when it was coming out.
Well, that's like, they kind of tap into that, but the unfortunate part of that is like the movie ends on premiere night. Like, they don't actually get into the reaction that fans had to it and how that affected George Lucas, because that was what I was kind of looking forward to. I was interested to know if they were going to do that. And like literally the last scene of the documentary is him pulling out a notebook, and he writes Star Wars Episode 2. Like, it so like I wanted to know more like what he was thinking while making it. And to be fair, the documentary does kind of highlight some of that. But I don't know. But I'll see. I'm gonna watch the other ones. I mean, the prequel ones are really short. They're all like hour long for each of them. But the Last Jedi one and Rise of Sky, like, those are like 2 hours long each. And I don't know if I can. Those ones are going to be kind of tough for me because I'm not the biggest fan of really either of those. But I guess the last thing I'll talk about, my final third film, is Oscar Mijo's Within Our Gates. And I think there is a reason why it is so popular, or not why it's so popular, but why it's so well regarded. in the film community. And I think if you haven't seen it, it is really something interesting. I just want to say, if you do go to find it, try to find the copy that me and Chris watched was a copy. The transfer looked pretty good. I have to give him that. The transfer did look pretty good, but I found the score to be very, very distracting. And it's a score done by DJ Spooky. I don't really know how all the transfers sit right now, if that's like the main one. But that's really my only criticism of that. And I wish it wasn't as distracting as it was, because I really wanted to kind of get like further into it. But I think it'll be a movie that I'll probably revisit.
Yeah,
in some time.
I don't know what Michaud is saying as far as like about racism in America at that time is quite, it's quite ahead of its time. I mean, he worked in the independent circles because like, major studio would allow him to,
weren't interested,
or would not even couldn't fathom giving a black man a platform like this.
It was that, and they also didn't think they could make money off of that audience as well, which is also insane to think about, because they had their own film circuit as well. So there was already an audience for, but that's that, but yeah. So I guess I can talk about next week's feature film if you're ready.
Yeah.
Okay. So next week, we've been dabbling in a lot of 2000s films, so we're going to take it back a little bit. We're going to do More American Graffiti, the sequel to George Lucas's American Graffiti. I think he produced More American Graffiti, I want to say. So I guess we will catch y'all next week with More American Graffiti, with more podcast 43. So
all right, stay safe and stay wavy. I said it both this time.
Yeah, you really fucked me over on that one, dude. Thanks. Stay safe
and stay wavy.
Hey, baby, remember at the end of American Graffiti, you wish there was more? Well, there is.
It's More American Graffiti.
That's me, you idiot!
Yeah, come on, all you big strong men, Uncle Sam.
They're older and wiser, and just as crazy.
All here, yonder in Vietnam.
Uncle Sam says, I need the toad.
Terry the Toad's in Vietnam. Steve and Lori are happily married. Debbie's different.
Pregnant.
I'm in love.
John Milner's the same.
I'm John Milner, the owner-driver of this car here, and this is our team T-shirt. I'd be deeply honored if you wore it.
Filmer, ég tala ekki ensku, ég nýkom frá Íslandi.
She's a foreigner, John.
It's my last shirt, too.
One more word out of your commie mouth, kid, I'll wring your neck.
Commie?
Turn around there.
I voted Republican.
I can't control it!
Get away from the trees!
More American Graffiti. The bittersweet times, the crazy times, and all of it unforgettable.
A man is not a housewife. A woman is a housewife.
Ron Howard.
I'm having a party tonight, and my mother loved being a housewife, and my mother loved being a mother, and I'm coming to pick you up right now. Do you understand that?
Cindy Williams.
Your wife is a cow, your mother's a hog.
Charlie Martin Smith.
What's the matter?
I broke my leg!
Some guy's got all the luck.
Paul Lamatt.
A little twerp.
Mackenzie Phillips.
Work me, John. I've grown.
A little bit.
Candy Clark.
I think it was a fire hydrant.
We gonna open up a used car lot.
Bo Hopkins.
You sell them, we steal them.
They're all back and more. With the new stars of the 80s. Telling the story of the 60s. More American Graffiti.
And watch out, the old Wolfman gonna be there too.